Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. All right, everybody. Good day, good day, good day. We're just getting started here for the quick chat. I just wanted to welcome everybody this morning. And I have to tell you, yes, today is a one advanced struggle stream situation, but we're going to have fun trying to get through it. So, with that being said, if everyone who can jump over to this side, I have had a couple of attempts go up this morning and I've changed a few thumbnail pictures and I thought, well, let's see which one works the best. But what I didn't know is that that would create different views of what channel to jump on or different streams to catch up with. But we're going to try to survive this almost Holocaust type situation. So for those of you who are figuring out where we are, listening in, I am going to get started here in just a few minutes. What I am doing is kind of streaming on the wild, right? Or in the wild. So this is really hilarious as I'm learning this new software. I tell you what, you would think that would all be pretty straightforward and that each would be the same, but they are not. Okay, so stand by and we're going to get started here. Hopefully give a couple of minutes for those who have jumped in the stream in another area to get over here on this side. All right, so stand by. Okay. So let's see what we can do this morning. What I wanted to do, I'm coming in a little bit late. I want to welcome everyone again to this channel. This is All for Success. Over here, we are a Sussex-friendly channel. Now, today I'm going to move a little bit faster than usual. I do have another appointment this afternoon, so I'm trying to kind of moderate myself and get out the door. But I thought as a consolation prize, as I learned this new software, I might start doing additional community posts and streams. So I hope you enjoyed the chat for today. As always, I'd like to welcome you to what is a Sussex friendly space. Um, we on this side of the wall, we like to support all things Harry and Meghan. I really do enjoy trying to be supportive of the work that they do and encouraging others to follow suit. If they're doing something that I think is worthwhile, I can't help but say, you know what, that's a great thing that they're doing, and we need to highlight it. I think much of their work is wonderful. Now, this being a Sussex friendly space, um, there is no opportunity really to follow along in the words of people who are detractors. Um, Many of them have been set on their path, so they really can't see any other way, right? But when you are positive about the work they do, um, it definitely helps clarify how you feel about the couple. So again, I look at this often from the point of view of a parent of adult children and how we have to work often to support them, especially as they are moving through life in their journeys. You know, as an older parent or parent of older children, you can see often from start to finish how things work out, especially for your little ones, right? And so you're looking for good good things to happen in their lives, and that's what we want. So this entire media blitz and outrage over the possibility that Dan Wooten has been involved in criminal activity, pretending to be people, pretending to act like he's someone that he's not, having others film people, and paying folks to be involved in very inappropriate relationships with others so that he could use that information to perhaps put them over a bar. So we're standing by. We're waiting to hear from the rest of the world media on whether or not they're going to approach. Let's go on through the next set of things we want to look at. So I just wanted to note that what everyone has been talking about is that their trip to Nigeria was an overall success. And many people are a little bit upset that they were as successful as they were. Um, I enjoyed the, many of the things that they did and watching them go through some of the meetings that they went through. And I thought it was wonderful, right? I thought they did a great job and people were entertained. And along with that, folks had a chance to observe how they work and take advantage of the work that they did. So I thought that was fantastic. And so it would seem that, of course, the UK media instead tried to pick up every opportunity that they could to discuss whatever they could find horrible about their trip. You know, they wanted everyone to think that their trip was not worthwhile and that everything they did was, for example, on the surface and a pretend and not to be observed as if it was worthwhile. But in fact, many people had a positive reaction, plus, it let them be seen as available to travel and introduce themselves to other people and to bring attention to various causes that they find dear. And that is important, right? Because often Harry and Meghan say this, although the UK media, they do not want you to believe any of this, but they often say that they want to bring attention to the causes that they believe in. And that's key. This is what a lot of people forget. If they see something that they feel is dear to their heart or a cause they want to support and highlight, often it is through their celebrity, their ability to bring attention to where they are and what they do. However, what happens is the UK media will then grab attention. The UK media is using them like a source of revenue. And basically, all things UK, right? They basically jump on their backs and they ride their fame and their fortune to produce whatever they're trying to produce. So what they do is they jump into their celebrity or into their motion and then bring the conversation over to nonsensical things, right? Instead of talking about the cause of women's health or youth leadership or um, bringing a light to especially Invictus, which is the actual purpose for their visit, right? Instead of talking about the things that Harry discovered on his visit, looking at the soldiers and getting an opportunity to speak with the soldiers and have them tell us about their journeys, instead of any of that being reproduced and put in the media space, they instead sat on those stories and talked about whether or not the First Lady of Nigeria was being an admonisher. If instead, whether or not the First Lady admonished Meghan for her clothing, or whether or not Harry and Meghan were sincere in how they looked at each other and whether they touched each other too much. This was the narrative coming out of the UK media. But what was the emphasis of their trip? Of course, it was Invictus. It was an opportunity to come through, talk to the soldiers, the wounded warriors of Nigeria, and their actual progress in moving through some of their challenges as they're trying to get on the road to recovery. That was the purpose of the visit. And it's so interesting that over the past 2 weeks, that focus is diverted, but it's diverted on purpose, right? The UK media will grab a thread and then they will take that thread and pull on it. And I've heard this analogy by other people, and they will usurp the actual purpose of what Harry and Meghan are doing. And so Harry and Meghan are they're still trying to fight that battle to turn the attention on to what they are talking about and what they are working with, instead of having all of their attention drift to what people are wearing. If someone is saying something that is anti Harry and Meghan, because the UK will only highlight that particular focus. So they will go far and wide to seek out individuals, whether they are on YouTube or or in any other social media platform, or they'll go and look for people who are doing any type of talk show, and they will work very hard to find that one or two negative personnel points of view. And you know what? By all counts, from the way it looks to me, is that they actually will pay for that negative view. So if someone wants to make an extra dollar, make sure you gin up some sort of negative um, talking points on Harry and Meghan. And when you do that, you are almost guaranteed a monthly paycheck coming from what source, I have no idea. But while I have you here, I wanted to show you all again several pictures of a trip that I took recently. Believe it or not, I went to a wedding in Vietnam. So I just wanted to take a moment and show you these photos while, of course, I ask you guys to please like and subscribe. And hey, if you all share and get at least one more person to sometimes visit my channel, then we'll start to up those numbers. And you know what? Everyone on YouTube is constantly pushing and upping the numbers. So I hope you all can hear me out there, right? We want to get those numbers up. So like I said, I'm struggling to get myself properly lined up and volumed up, and I hope you guys can hear what I'm saying as I'm talking about it. But these were just some lovely photos that I had an opportunity to take, and traveling from the U.S. to Vietnam is a very long journey, let me tell you, but it was a rewarding one. Learned a lot, saw some interesting things, and the beach there is fantastic, and they have some of the warmest water I have ever been in, and it was lovely. So it's a bit of a travel endeavor, but it is an entertaining one and it is fun. And I always will push. I sound like a commercial. I'm going to be a commercial here for the airport in Seoul, Korea. That is an airport that really understands how to help people as they travel. They are extraordinarily good at paying attention to what you may need if you have a long layover or if you have time between flights. They have areas that you can lay down or stretch out, take a nap. They even have a hotel within their airport. So I have to give an extraordinary shout out to the airport in Incheon, South Korea. It was fantastic. So I'm hoping that not just myself, but that others will get a chance to travel that far. But it was extraordinarily accommodating. And you wouldn't think so. But when you look at those amenities that they push and that they support, um, you actually find that in ways they are offering things that you do not find here in the United States unless you are a member of these lounges, or what I would say these high-end miles, like people who have these super high reward miles, or the people who are traveling first class or in private jets, and they get access to these special lounges and things in airports. Well, in Seoul, Korea, that type of availability was for just the common traveler. So I can just imagine what they do for the travelers who are at the higher level. But anyway, that's just a picture. I hope that you all enjoyed looking at that. And this again also is a photo of the hotel swimming area. And then we were on a little bit of a jaunt across to another island. And these are some of the boats and things that were out there in the bay as we were sailing over it. It was quite lovely. So these are some of the things that you can see and activities that you can participate in if you travel to that area. And hopefully you will. So again, please like, share, and subscribe. I'm going to see if I can see a few comments here. I want to welcome, I see Joyce Anderson is in the chat. Thank you so much for being here. It is so, I tell you, I know I'm crossing my fingers that I can continue this chat and make sense out of it. I'm going to have to work at getting some things on screen like they were in the original chat lane. Also, I see R.R. Carter is here. Yes, she's agreeing that the smear campaign, it is disgusting and relentless. You are absolutely correct. And guess what? They're not going to slow down either. You know, they are not about to start reducing their amount of hatred. That is going to continue for some time. And so for the rest of us, we just have to stay vigilant and stay on top of being ahead of these people and the hateful things that they do. But like I said, um, what we're going to do is act as supporters of Harry and Meghan. So when they show up, what our job is to show out, okay? We need to fill the airways, fill the media ways with our attitude and our view of how we see them and the wonderful things that they are involved in. Um, like I said, when I saw her in this yellow dress, I thought, oh, that's beautiful. I didn't realize that that dress had been photographed before, but it was in a black and white photo that most of us saw. But I loved the way it flowed. It was, very comfortable. And I can imagine that the weather in Nigeria might be considerably warmer, and that may be why their national dress is something very full and voluminous that allows air to flow in and around your body. It would make sense, right? Not to be in something skin tight and super hot. But I am sad that unfortunately the way that the First Lady gave her speech and her delivery left the opportunity, it left the opportunity for the naysayers to inject negativity in and all around her viewpoint. It allowed the ability for someone to take things out of context. And even though there have been many um, actual media personalities and YouTubers that have been trying to correct what was said, how it was said, what the First Lady meant, even though she herself, her office, has put out a statement saying, you know what, my words were taken out of context, and that what I was intending to show and highlight was the fact that Meghan traveled to Nigeria to discover her roots. And as a part of our roots, we are a very modest people because that's actually what she said in the speech. But the way it was delivered allowed the opportunity for the UK media to take hold of it and run with statements and ideas that had nothing to do with what she said. So, what I wanted to point out here, now we're going to get into this thing, and then, like I said, I'm not going to keep you here long this morning. I got to get dressed. Okay, so I wanted to point out something that I saw, a quick news article, or I guess headline, because you know that these headlines are often things that they just splurge out into the public so that they want to see what the public is latching on to. Because once they find out what you're feeding on, they're going to give you more of that. So lately, it's been princesses, Beatrice and Eugenie, because what we want to do, I'm assuming, in some media circles, we want to put forth Beatrice and Eugenie and try to sell them to the public as the replacements for Harry and Meghan, to take Beatrice and Eugenie and their families and throw them into the forefront of all of these um, events that would generally be handled by either Buckingham Palace or Kensington Palace, and drop Beatrice and Eugenie in them so that we can use them as the new fodder for the media blitz and the media stories. So in order to do that, what we're going to say is that there's always a comparison, right? That their families are going to take the place of Harry and Meghan. Now, for all of us who are paying attention, you know that's not even possible. I mean, they are interesting in and of themselves, but when you really think about it, and this is not to detract from them, but are they really that interesting? I mean, when you talk about people doing something, you've got to find out, well, where do they fit in this role? So, because they came to the garden party that was held in the rain, which I thought that was entertaining. But because they attended that garden party, they want to be billed as the next um, faces of the royal family. You know, that concept that King Charles had and the statement he made about slimming down the monarchy, you know, that's the type of thing that perhaps someone says as I'm going to say as a dig is what the way we would look at it. When you're saying something because you think you're putting someone out, right? Sort of like mean girls in a club, right? Mean girls in a club. You're saying something, but you want to throw a dig at someone else by saying, "Oh, um, well, this person, we're going to slim down, so they're going to be less of us," as if you're drawing attention to the fact that you want to reduce the number of people and parties that were participating in activities in and around the royal family. Well, that statement has come back to haunt them, right? Because as you reduced, you realized that everyone there was already elderly and actually in need of retirement. And then you looked over at the young people while you were harassing and using Harry and Meghan, or rather allowing them to be used as evil fodder, that you actually got yourself into a predicament where there was no one else there, right? Meanwhile, Harry and Meghan, being as huge as they are, and they will remain so, whether you like them or not, right? They will remain a huge force. But by doing so, you actually tore yourself apart. And it's unbelievable how silly you can be that way, right? But that's what the royal family did. They basically shot themselves in the head in order to save their feet, right? And it's amazing that you can be so blind. But that's what I noticed about Beatrice and Eugenie coming to the forefront. They're going to try to use them as the replacement interest, but I'm not certain that that will work. You know, the public is really not aware of them, not like that. And I don't know if they are interested in trying to have themselves in that role. Now we're going to roll it up here. I'm not, like I said, I'm going to kind of finalize this pretty quick. You know, these two people here that I have been actually you see them come across your YouTube feed from time to time. They're totally um actually enlisted to be hate campaigners. I have no idea how they ended up in that role, but it is their income. It is their choice to be hate campaigners and to stay in that role. And I just wanted to note that it would be nice. I am not I am not adept at this, but I've heard of different people now on Twitter and different YouTubers, some of what I call the super squad YouTubers. And then there is this gentleman named Christopher Bozy, I believe, who has come to the forefront. He is definitely a warrior on the side of truth. Not so much, he's not so much into Harry and Meghan. It's just the aspect of what was real versus what was false. And in his business, he's very adept at spotting um, AI, right? So he was pointing out what was real and not real. And of course, the the naysayers or the derangers, as they are often referred to, they descended upon him to try and scare him into silence. But what is happening, and I'm so glad that it's happening, is that people are not being silenced. People are showing that they can stay strong in their truth. And I love the fact that that's what's happening online. And so I tell you what, I have never really called upon bad things to happen to anyone in particular. But I have to say, when it comes to women like this, especially in the media space, where everything they say about Megan is negative and it's actually for no reason, the name calling, I mean, they actually open their series with name calling. And when I look at them, I think to myself, they look like they are miserable, but yet they make money from being horrible people. And I would love to see YouTube and all of the squatties and all of the personalities out there that are on top of these things to spin and weave to get these people put in their place. I would love to see that. I support that in this particular case. Lastly, same thing. Same thing with this character. Her name is Kenzie Schofield. She's also another one that she is a U.S. plant. She's a plant here in the U.S. and she's Republican in nature in the way that is the U.S. version of Republicanism. She's Trump-esque supporter-ish, right? In her behavior and in her dialogue. And so, again, all things anti Harry and Meghan, but it's her bread and butter, right? Because no one is really listening to her talk about anything else. But her views are huge because she is operating in that space, right? And this clown next to her, I know his last name is O'Sullivan. He is another one. He's just grizzled in his hatred. He just spews it out just like venom. And I would love to see a campaign, in fact, to just drumbeat these people with the same type of insults that they heap upon everyone else. I would just love to see that happening. So, if all of those young people out there who are really super savvy, kind of like the armies of BTS, the actual K pop group, or the Beehive that support Beyonce, I would love to see that level of, I guess, retribution on these people in the way they operate. I can't say that that would disappoint me. All right, so here we go. As I wrap it up, I always give you guys my Bible view, although I want you to know it's only because of the text and the reading. I am not proselytizing and I'm definitely not trying to convert people, right? But I just want to point out, whenever I do this, I always point out things that I'm seeing in the operation. So let's talk about what lies are, right? Let's talk about how the lies get there. And this is from the biblical view. And this is if you're interested in this type of information. And I love to refer to it because I find it intriguing. So, Second Thessalonians speaks of a time, right? And I'll read this little note. It says that God will, in the end times, this is judgment, so don't panic. But they talk about people being sent a powerful delusion, right? That there will be a time period in our world where people will believe what is a lie. And I think that's intriguing because if there's any time that we live in, it appears that we're definitely on our way to that position. People seem to want to accept the lies that are being given to them, right? And that's where it seems like we are. And we need to get out of that space. So, for all of you out there, please pay very close attention to what you're being fed and also question some of the things that you see, right? And when you do that, it'll probably lead you to understand why someone is trying to make you believe what they are trying to make you believe. Okay? So, this is a time when they said that if you look down in the second paragraph there, he talks about that the devil is actually the father of all lies, and his objective is to deceive and to blind, right? So think about that, that you have institutions, right, here in our space. Of course, let's talk about television, tabloid media, things like that, where they just basically give you lies and actually have people going here and there, running there and from to and fro, that believe the lies that they see and hear and repeat them. And I think the things that have been said about Harry and Meghan, in some circumstances, when you think about how much negative statements have been made about them, how many, I'm so sorry, how many statements, how negative every statement is, that you think about the volume, that it couldn't possibly be true if 10 people did it inside of a year, the way that they are often described. If you are covering people on a spread, a news spread, every channel, every day for 5, 6 years, they couldn't possibly do that much damage, right? But this is what you are being told to believe. So, with that in mind, let's understand what we need to do to try to bring ourselves back, ground ourselves, and keep our minds clear, right? And remember, try to keep the faith, try to stay strong, because we have to mentally fight against this all the time. And so here's where we refer to John 8:44, right? So, and also things in John 10:10, because what you want to do is clear your mind and remember that there's truth of love and goodness, favor and grace. And when you have those things, that the enemy cannot sneak lies past you, right? When you know that all lies come from those seeking your destruction, that you will not win, because if you keep your mind clear and focused on the goodness, the love, this is the key, and grace, that you will be abundantly blessed, right? And continue to think about that, that you will stay in the battle against all lies. And those lies can't take root. Why? Because there's no room when we flood our minds with, in our case, in my case, right, Christian principles. But in those who are not Christians, really flood your mind with things that are positive, right? Think about those things that are positive, especially about the people being lied upon. And keep your mind clear of all the destructive lies that are being put out. So that's my word for the day, right? And so I want to thank you guys again, all of you, for being here as I'm gathering my wits and getting stuff put together. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here at my live chat. And again, don't forget to share and subscribe. And don't forget to tell other people, at least one person, hey, check out this channel. She's working on it. She's getting there. And she needs your support. Thank you guys so much for being here.